Hey guys, so today I am coloring half of my Demon Slayer drawing. This is Nezuko from Demon Slayer. I thought I would just draw her half demon and half human. So the first side that I'm coloring in is her human side. Originally I wasn't going to actually put that line in the center, but my friend said, oh, that would make it easier to distinguish and stuff like that. So I actually did that for coloring purposes and also for visual purposes as well. So that way I knew where exactly to cut the line. Excuse my phone notifications if you hear that. So now I'm just coloring in the skin side. So you're going to notice that for the human side, it's going to be lighter colors. This video is going to be a two-parter, so my next video that I upload after this video will be the demon part being colored and outlined. Basically for the human side, I want it to be kind of bright and just look normal, and for the demon side, I will be actually coloring that a bit with like a darker tone to it. So some of the colors that I use here on this side that you see me using, I might end up go and I might actually use darker versions of those colors for the demon side. So right now I'm still on her skin and just for her skin tone, I just chose a regular skin tone that I usually use because she has light skin. And then I'm just shading in her nose and her eyes and everything that needs to be shaded in. I think for the part that she was like holding the bamboo shoot in her mouth, I think I made I don't know if I made the outline, like the shading for that a bit too straight, but I ended up just doing a line under it anyways, and then now I'm just shading the hand. I'm still getting used to adding more shading. Like for the face, you'll see I did like different shading, especially for like the nose, and you'll notice like the nose shape has changed a bit for how I'm drawing, just because I wanted to look a little more realistic. I saw someone drawing noses and I tried it out, and mine is not similar, like it's similar to theirs, but it's still in my style. So yeah, I just got rid of the line that I usually do above the nose because it makes it more realistic looking that way. For her eyes, I ended up doing the style that the creator of Demon Slayer actually did because I was like looking at a reference of Nezuko and I just colored her eyes the same way. But usually I do add like the black pupil inside. This time I forgot to do that. I don't know if I'll go back and add that because to be honest, her without the black pupil, it makes her look more cute and innocent rather than just like super serious. So I'm leaving some parts in the actual hair for just for little highlights. It's just to make it look a little bit shiny. I'm still learning how to do that, so it might look a little bit blocky. I'm only doing it for like the front strand though for this part of the hair, I guess because that one's like sticking out more to me. The others in the back I ended up not doing that just because of the shading and like the shadows because it's behind her. And I also am leaving the parts now for her orangey brown. It's kind of like a burgundy color to be honest, but for this side I actually give her like an orangey color. I might give like a darker tone in my for the other side as I said before. So yeah, so here I'm just coloring in all of her hair, and then you'll see me go later back in with like two other grays. So all of these are technically grays and they're so close to black like you can't really like tell that it's gray too much. So I ended up using that. The darker I get with the grays, the more black it looks. So like for example, the shading over here, I'm using a darker one for shading. So it looks like it's black, but it's not really. I do have a black marker, but I'm saving that for like the darker parts. Yeah, so I just go around shading like what's overlapping for the hair and stuff like that. And then, so this is the second color that I use for shading, and then there's another, so this is the color that I use for shading, and then this one that I'm going over with is a darker color, so it's for shading, but it's more so it's outlining the different parts of the hair, so like the lines that I drew, and then I'll be able to see those, and when I outline, I'll outline right next to the darker part. And then we're moving on to coloring the rest of the hair. So as I said before, I chose a pretty light orange. Her hair is kind of like burgundy color in that for like her highlights, but personally I just went for this so that way it gave her some pop of color, just because it's more lively for her human side. And then I just went over with like shading it with 2 different colors as well, so there's some gradient going on there for her shirt. And so before I go on to the shirt, I was actually doing the bamboo shoot. I think I chose a pretty bright color, but it's not like super muted. The color that I saw for the bamboo is a little bit less dark. I guess I chose the wrong green, but overall it's fine. I don't really have the green that looks like the bamboo shoot, to be honest, when it comes to my colors, so that's just what I use. And the bamboo was the same color as like the green string that wrapped, I don't know what it's called, but it's like it wrapped around her chest area, so I ended up using the same colors and just shading them both in. Try to add some shading to the bamboo shoot so that way it doesn't look, I don't know, it doesn't look just like a clean thing, like there needs to be shading for coloring. For her pinks, I'm gonna be honest, it was hard because I didn't see any pinks that like I have in my thing. Like mine is either really bubbly pink or like purplish pink, so I ended up just going with like a light pink for her lighter areas, the lightest one I could find, and then I went in with shading it with a little bit of a darker color, but I think this color was actually so similar to it, so the shading you can't really tell so much. And then when I went into her other, like her actual kimono, I went for like a darker pink. Of course, this isn't actually a super accurate pink. Like I said before, I think it was just a bit too salmony colored looking, but at the end it was okay. I think this was a coral pink. No, not a coral pink, it was a different thing. But it was just like one of the lighter pinks that I had, but it wasn't super light in comparison to the other one. I think the other pink that I used for her, like the inner part of the kimono and like that part that shows like outlining on her from her waist to her leg, that part, that strap, I actually just made it into like that one's more purpley pink, and then the other one's just like a pink, like I don't know which color it is, I forgot. But yeah, and then I went with a dark orange for her string that wraps around there. There's like another string that wraps around her wrap, and then there's, I don't know the technical term for these, the pieces of clothing for the kimono, but this is like the thing that wraps around your waist. So yeah, she had red, and I use a light red. There's a darker red that, like, she has a darker red for that, but I ended up using a light red and just shading it, so that way, in contrast to like the other side, when I do the other side, this is still really light. So I wanted super bright colors in comparison. So you'll notice I use some colors that are brighter than the actual original art of like when you look at Demon Slayer. And so that's just what I was trying to do. But the pinks, I don't have the accurate ones. So right now I'm coloring in her outside part of the kimono. It's pretty, like, I use a dark gray, but I was trying to avoid using like the black marker that I had because again, I'm saving that for later. So I ended up just using this gray that was similar. It's a cool gray, which is like one of the lighter grays that I have, but this is like the darkest pigmentation of the cool grays. So yeah, that's why it kind of looks black on, like, in person too. It kind of almost looks like it's black. It could technically fool someone if you didn't know like the different pigmentations and stuff like that, for the touch markers. But yeah, I ended up using that, and then I'll go back with I went back with a darker color after this, and I actually shaded it in. Still, again, that one's not my black marker. That's like my darkest gray that I have, so I use that for that. I shaded around the hair too, so that way it looks like the hair is overlapping onto it. But the hair is so wavy, so it's a bit difficult for me like to go around, but I did my best. And then I'm shading in her sleeves. For this part I just ended up shading in the whole inside of the sleeve to make it look like it's like inside and not, and there's like some depth to it. Now I am outlining the drawing, so I'm just going over the hair again. Just, it's kind of wavy, but you'll see like the shapes that I actually drew in for like the sketches when I'm actually outlining it. And I also added some lines to the orange parts too, so that way it looks like there's strands. And this part, I noticed that I covered the eye when I was outlining the eye, because the perspective, like, I'm sitting next to my tripod, so I do apologize. This is kind of a thing that I just realized when I was filming. I didn't pay attention, and I was, like, outlining, and I completely did not notice. I also did not outline the chin, so off camera, I actually outlined the chin, so that's something you'll see. Sometimes I miss little parts that I'm supposed to be outlining, and then afterwards I just go back. So I don't show in the video me going back to outline it, but I do. So this is just me outlining the kimono, and everything is almost basically done. For her, I will be posting her process work. I took lots of pictures during this video, so I kept like before I edited and stuff. So I will be posting that on the description box below. All my social media is there. If you like and follow those, you can definitely see all her process work. And if you want to see my other Demon Slayer drawings, because I drew Zenitsu and Tanjiro, they are on my drawings playlist as well. For Nezuko, I just made like a special drawing for her because like she has two versions of her, human and demon. So yeah, I went in afterwards and you'll see that I actually drew in the lines. I was trying to copy the reference that I had of her, but I did like the roughest thing, like the roughest outline ever of it. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. That's it. Bye.